Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. Got a lot of college football for you this morning, and Ryan Smith, Jazz owner, Utah Hockey Club owner. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to start you off, though, with BYU and Darius Lassiter, the wide receiver, after the Cougars moved to 6-0. Here's Darius Lassiter with PK and I. Man, another turnover battle, won 4-1, another blowout victory at home, and another Monday of Kalani saying everyone needs to stay humble and work hard. It's kind of wash, rinse, repeat here. I'm hearing the same things over and over, and it keeps working.
Yeah, we got a little plan that we tend to stick to, and things are going our way right now, so we're going to keep going at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to go, to continue it as far as that goes. How much do you think that you have to fine-tune the intensity? Because now, seasons have been established in terms of patterns. You take a look at Oklahoma State. They haven't won a conference game, so they're disappointing. So instead of being the favored team where people are looking for them, the roles are reversed. You were supposed to finish at the bottom. They were supposed to finish near the top, and now it's different. So you think that for them, all of a sudden, beating a ranked team, particularly on the road, is a huge deal. And I think you need to be prepared for that and be able to find a way to not only match their intensity, but increase yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a game that could possibly turn their season around for them and kind of start making them go in the right direction of things. And this could be one loss to us could be devastating, and things could start going the other way for us. So we just got to keep managing this game and thinking of it as like every game like our Super Bowl, like we have been doing for this year, for this season, and just continue to be us. Kalani came in there at halftime and said, "Play our ball and just do your job." And so if everybody does that, I think the outcome's going to be the same.
How big a boost do you guys get every time the defense gets a takeaway and you go running on the field, sometimes down at the 9-yard line already?
Yeah, I feel like we have a top 5 defense in the nation, and when they can play like that, it just gives us so much energy and juice because we don't have to go so far, and we're already on this side of the field, and we got so much plays that can be open now that we're on this side of the field.
Yeah, speaking of that, man, I know you're an offensive guy, but we came into this season with some guys, a baddie up front on the defense we knew about. Jack Kelly got a lot of run. Robinson at cornerback got a lot of run. But to me, the surprise of this season, as far as great play, has been this linebacker Glasgow. And I know you're a defensive guy, but I think, man, that this guy has just been incredible. Can you speak to that?
Yeah.
Offensive guy is what I meant you are.
Yeah. Glass has always had the tools and the size and everything. I feel like after the spring, he just put it all together, and now he's playing phenomenal ball. His stat line last week was crazy. We was going over in our team meeting. He almost had every stat that you could have from a defensive player playing. And so I'm just proud of the way that he just stepped up for that challenge and honing in a new linebacker spot.
Offensively, was that about as well as you guys have played as a group?
I don't think so. I think it's still way more that we can do better. I feel like we left 3 touchdowns on there on the board, and there's so much this offense can grow and still do. And that's what we do. But we're taking the stride sheets every week to be the offense that we want to be. And so I feel like next week is even going to be better.
How much time are you spending studying film-wise as far as the opponent's defense?
Yeah, so for us, it was a quick turnaround. So Sunday, got to jump right onto it because we only get 3 days to truly practice this week, and then our walkthrough becoming Thursday, and then we already right into the game by the time Friday gets here. So it was a quick turnaround for us, and we kind of knew what to expect from last year. They also switched some things up a little bit. And it's kind of easy when they play teams that you played already, so you can kind of see plays that you already seen before.
Do you watch film mostly by yourself, mostly with a position coach, or mostly with a coordinator?
I think most of it got to come by yourself. You only get so much of meeting time throughout the day before practice and things like that. So a lot of preparation is going to come on your own.
Yeah, as far as that goes, being a guy who's been in college for a good while, is your academic load a little lighter that allows you some more free time?
Yeah, I got a few classes now, but anytime I can, after practice or whenever we're just like waiting to go to football stuff, just trying to get a little extra minute of film and film session there.
The preseason expectations for so many teams are just wildly off. And there's always been surprises in college football, but do you attribute a lot of this to the transfer portal and teams changing themselves dramatically pretty quickly, or do you think it's something else?
I just think I think it's just how the way teams prepared before the season and up to now. Some people probably prepared more intense, and that's probably why they're getting the results that they get. And some teams probably just didn't prepare as much as they should have, and that's probably why they're getting the results they're getting. So I really just think not the transfer portal. Yeah, the transfer portal got some play into it, but at the end of the day, you got those guys on the team that you recruited. So.
You look at these preseason expectations, Utah, and they've obviously, I'm sure you know about the injury to Rising, and so they're playing Friday night, and you guys are in the hotel. You got some meetings and stuff, but you got some free time, so you probably have an opportunity to see a team like ASU, which was picked 16th. So you got the preseason, for what it's worth, you got 1 versus 16, 16 wins. The point I'm making is for a team like you, all of a sudden you're on the flip side, and instead of being the underdog, you're now probably going to be favored for the next little while. But it's got to be able to heighten your awareness of potential upsets when you see a team that was picked 16th beat the team number 1, and you get to watch it on television, that it should allow you guys to understand or make you guys understand, hey, there's no guarantees, man, once you take the field.
Yeah, this conference is crazy because the worst teams can come out and give you the best at times, and the best teams can give you the worst at times. So you just gotta continue to try to be the same team each and every week. Mistakes and things are gonna happen, but it's how can you guys can work as a team to overcome those mistakes.
Now that you've seen a half dozen Oklahoma State games, or at least you have the opportunity to, do they look like anybody you've seen already? Do they remind you of somebody?
Kind of just their team that they had last year. Their secondary room was kind of the same, minus a corner or two that probably went to somewhere else in a different school. But we kind of know what to expect. We've seen them on film, and yeah, we're excited to roll, especially after last year. They kind of took something away from us special, so we kind of just want to go get that back.
Turnovers can be such a big deal and such momentum changers. I'm wondering, during the week, practice and all that, how much do your coaches on the offensive side stress ball security?
Yeah, it's every time. As soon as we walk out onto the field until we leave, that's a big thing with Kalani is ball security, because you're not carrying the ball just for yourself. You're carrying it for your team, this community, this university. So it comes with a little bit more responsibility once they give you the ball, and you got to take care of it.
So few teams are able to get to 6-0. This can really be a rare opportunity here. It's hard to do, which can make it a little more special. Does the team feel that right now, or is it really just a week-to-week grind and that stuff's overrated?
Yeah, we're taking it week to week, but yeah, we know that we're building something special here. 6-0, that's not an easy thing to do. Yeah, we want to stay humble and things like that, but it also gives us confidence that we know that each and every week we can go out there and play with anybody in the world. So 6-0, we're taking it humbly, but we know that it's something special brewing here.
Since you got bowl eligibility in the minimum amount of times and you didn't get it last year, is it that big of a deal now? Because obviously if you went 6-6, that wouldn't be that impressive.
Yeah. Our goal was step by step was just to win each game and become bowl eligible, just so we can get to that next step of what we want to do, and that's the Big 12 championship. So this was just one part of our little journey, and we're grateful to be bowl eligible. But after the game, you can kind of tell that guys wasn't just satisfied with just being bowl eligible. It's more out there that we want and that we got to go take.
So was there some kind of bowl eligibility celebration?
Yeah, we danced a little bit in the locker room. Kalani always wants us to celebrate wins.
Well, Darius, congratulations on yet another win and the 6-0 start, and good luck against Oklahoma State, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
A reminder, catch First and 12 Sundays from 10 to noon on The Zone. It's brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Get the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your favorite local brands. Macy's, happy shopping. When we come back, we're talking Ute football and quarterback changes with Frank Dolce next. Stay with us.
All you good folks, how about you nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week? Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and then listen every Thursday afternoon to the good guys, JJ and Alex, for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, and it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ PK, and it's time to welcome aboard Frank Dolce, former Ute quarterback. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Hello again. Hello.
Yes. Great movie.
Good to have you on here. Another segment of As the Utah Quarterback Turns. Another twist.
Yes. What do you mean, the twist that we're now considering an 8th year and a redshirt year?
No. Don't speak it into existence. Frankie D, I am fired up to see Isaac Wilson over these next and probably 7 games. This is a phenomenal opportunity, unlike this program has ever had. You got somebody who's got a little bit of footing underneath them. Now you got an opportunity to develop this kid. There's no longer any confusion. No wait, it's early in the week. Wait till Thursday. Wait till 20 minutes before kickoff. I was there at Oklahoma State, watched the quarterbacks roll out, and you're telling me Isaac Wilson still didn't know he was going to start. Now he knows today, tomorrow, and the rest of the season, barring injury, obviously knock on wood to prevent against that. So you got an opportunity here to set yourself up as a program for the next 2 to 3 years. I'm jacked for it.
Wow. That's as excited as I've heard you ever sound, outside of when you have a nice round of golf. Like, those are the two things where I think that elicits the most excitement.
I played with him yesterday. He played well, and he complained at least every other hole. I mean, there were stretches. I got up on my toes. I went right. I got to stay down.
Oh, you want perfection. What do you want me to do? Accept losing? I'll never accept losing under any circumstance.
You think Tiger Woods is happy when he, hits it 12 feet left of the hole on the green? Like, he's not happy. He wants a 2-foot putt.
Of course.
For birdie.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why PK excels in life.
You want to get back to the original point?
What'd you say, Frank? I didn't hear you there for a second. You broke up.
Get back to the point, Frank. Enough of this nonsense.
Okay. The point is, I believe Utah has a tremendous opportunity as well. I also believe Utah has a tremendous opportunity to flesh out other quarterbacks in the program during this time. And certainly you're going to have a starter and the guy that you prepare every week to play all of the downs. But I feel like Utah has an opportunity to take a closer look at some other guys in the program who may be able to contribute at the quarterback position. So outside of saying the quarterback race is open again, I'll get very close to that line and say the quarterback race should be a little more fluid if this is the case, that Cam Rising is no-go, that Isaac Wilson is QB1, but you have other assets that should be developed.
Last year, they played 2 quarterbacks, and they both ended up transferring, I guess, and neither one of them thought anyone believed in them. Don't you risk that if you try to play 2 quarterbacks here? I mean, in plain English, I think that's what you're suggesting.
No.
Let's play 2 quarterbacks.
No, I'm not suggesting we play 2 quarterbacks. I'm suggesting that we play 1 quarterback and we give some other quarterbacks opportunities in select football games when the opportunity arises. It's not a 2 quarterback system. It's a 1 quarterback system with the opportunity for other quarterbacks to get to develop their talents in a game situation. It's Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, and that's not a 2 quarterback situation to me. So you have a definite starter, you have a definite guy, and you have an opportunity to develop talent.
Well, I think that backup would be Rose. He's been in the program 3 years, and all he did, I think, against SUU was get in and a couple of handoffs. They didn't even trust him in the bowl game. His father went on social media and wasn't too happy about that. You can look it up. So my thought is that he's probably gone at the end of this season if he wants to play. You never know. Maybe he gets an opportunity and lights it up. Who knows? There's crazy stories. Brandon Dolman sat around for 3.5 years, and gets an opportunity and runs with it that final year and gets drafted by the 49ers, so things can happen. I just think that for here, let Wilson do his thing, and then Andy Ludwig can tailor a game plan completely around this guy. And I'm expecting them, they've got 6 games left. I say that they have got an opportunity to minimally go 3-3, if not 4-2. 5-1 might be a little bit optimistic. 6-0 seems probably unlikely, but if you win 8 ball games this year and go to a bowl with an opportunity to win 9 with a healthy Wilson, I consider that, it's a disappointment relative to Cam Rising, but what happened. And that from that perspective, I would be excited about going to next season.
There's 2 more losses on the schedule. I think that's reasonable to think that.
Right.
If Isaac Wilson is lights out, then you could run the table. I mean, you could. If he's good, there's probably 1 loss on the schedule, and if things go the wrong way, then there's a couple more than that. So, and the one piece I didn't look up, and you guys probably have this already. So, what is Utah turnover margin in the last 2 games?
Bad.
Are they -5? Are they a -5 or a -4?
I don't have it at my fingertips, but the point is it's bad.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
Eventually I will have it at my fingertips. I don't yet.
It's something like that. And so we have to factor that in. Like, so turnovers, you eliminate the turnovers. What does that mean in those 2 games? Well, I think you could make a reasonable argument that you at least split those games, the last 2 games, and the lack of ability to score inside the 30-yard line, touchdowns inside the 30-yard line. Okay, there's something. How about on the defensive side, the chunk plays? I mean, Scadaboo is phenomenal. I really like him. I think he's phenomenal. But he picked up 97 yards on 2 carries in that game. I mean, they're talking about him going 11 carries, 120 yards in the second half. 97 yards came on 2 carries. So mostly that Utah defense was pretty good. And then they were pretty bad. And so if you eliminate those 2, I would call those mistakes on the defensive side, what are you looking at? And so I think there are a lot of factors that contribute to these 2 losses. And it's not that Utah is a bad football team. It's like they're situationally bad. The turnovers, the lack of holding down the defensive side, giving up the chunk plays, not scoring inside the 30. I mean, those are things I think you can clean up. And if those things occur, then Utah's probably going to find themselves in the mix at the end of the year.
The way I look at this is Tyler Huntley Part 2. He comes in and played 2017, I think it was, and they go 7-6. And I realize he got hurt the next year, but he was there for a good portion. and they're in the title game the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Why can't that be the case going forward? I don't know that it will, but if Wilson does well, and you talk about them, if you can say 5-1, I would take it right now. I would take 5-1 right now, 9 wins. That's a really good season as far as I'm concerned. And you're bringing back a kid who's just a sophomore, might help you get some transfer receivers in there because clearly he was developing something with Singer there. And they might get some guys who can ball and want to be a part of it for the next couple years. Man, this is far from the curtain is down on this program the way I look at it.
I'm cautiously optimistic about this team. One reason I'm optimistic about this team is because Mekhi Bernard was a real bright spot.
Yeah, and get him the ball.
State.
He's been a bright spot the whole season.
Yes, well, I have been, I don't know, skeptical is not the word, but I question the running game of Utah, and I question whether or not Mekhi Bernard is going to be an every down 25, 30 carry a game, 150-plus yards per game kind of back. And I think that's what Utah really needs right now, especially as, you make this transition at the quarterback position and you need some stability. I thought the offensive line looked pretty good. Mekhi Bernard was a bright spot. He was breaking tackles. He was finding the hole. He looked very explosive off the snap. So I think that is, of all the things that have happened, the negative things that have happened for this Utah offense, the emergence of Mekhi Bernard could be exactly what they need at this moment to propel them to 5 more wins on the season. I mean, I agree with you. 5 wins going down the stretch based on all that's happened leading up to this point, I think that would be a commendable football season. Certainly not all of the expectations up front, but, you just didn't account for all of the negative things that have happened either.
Bernard is averaging about 17 carries a game, and he's done very well. He's over 6.5 yards a carry, and definitely passes the eyeball test with the way he runs, right? The combination of power and speed's been impressive. But to your point, Kyle prefers 30 of those tough running plays per game, and there is no RB2. Nobody else is over 4 yards a carry. Everybody is struggling. So give the ball to Bernard, but they got to find a second running back. And have any idea who that might be? Because so far it's no one.
No, I don't know who that is going to be. So you're going to have to find rushing yardage in other places. I think you have an opportunity with the tight end group, and Brant Keithy has shown the ability to run the ball. I think you're going to have to look at Money Parks as a ball carrier from his wide receiver slot position. And Isaac Wilson ran the ball very effectively in high school. I think he's super athletic. And as much as you don't want to risk the health of your quarterback, we've seen how that affects Utah offensively. You probably have to find situations where Isaac Wilson is putting some pressure on the defense with his legs. And I think he has that ability. So you're going to have to rely on Mekhi Bernard, probably jack up his carries, 8, 9, 10 per game, and then manufacture rushing yards elsewhere to keep the defense off balance. And then, of course, throwing the ball – effectively throwing the ball downfield. I don't think you have to throw the ball, over the top necessarily to soften a defense, but you have to be effective throwing the ball downfield. So when Tyler Huntley became really good, I mean, if I remember this correctly, he wasn't throwing the ball for 450 yards per game, or maybe not even 300 yards per game. But maybe he was in the 250 yards per game, but it was super efficient, like 60, 70% passing on the year. And that was very effective, keeping a defense honest and allowing the running game to go. So I would see the offense moving that way a little bit more.
Yeah,
Dominant
I
ground
agree.
game, offensive line, effective pass game.
Right. I mean, Tyler Huntley's completion percentages, particularly his senior year, my gosh.
Yeah,
it was like Jeff Hornacek. If he missed a shot, I was shocked. If they had threw an incomplete pass, it's like I was shocked because, I mean, he was so pinpoint accurate here. And I think, speaking of loyalty to the program, which Kyle obviously exhibited with Rising last Friday night, and I think it was to the detriment of winning, but nevertheless, Bernard needs to get that same type of loyalty because he's been in this program for a long time. And you talk about how, and we all probably thought what you just said about, well, I wasn't sure if he could be, every down back. And he'll tell you, yeah, I've dealt with that my whole life. And he'll tell you point blank right to your face. And so this kid has got an internal motivation to prove the world wrong. And so far, he's been able to do all that stuff here. And so I would ride this kid because at the same time, he knows he's got 6 games, probably 7 left to go, where he's auditioning for the NFL. And if he can finish the second half of the season the way he did the first half, then that's going to increase his chances. And don't look at him and say, oh, he's small. No, don't look at that at all. Look at his production, and that's what matters the most. So they got a real opportunity to ride this kid to some big-time wins here going forward because their schedule looks like, especially in November, will be fairly difficult, and he can shine and then allow Wilson to supplement with the throw game, as Kyle calls it, and away you go. That's why I'm looking at success. I will ask you, Frank, if we said we would take 5-1, right? We both agreed we'll take 5-1. Well, Frankie D, you go way back. Does that one include the loss to BYU? Are you taking it then under that circumstance?
I'll go 5-1 in any scenario except that one.
3-3 with a win over BYU. Would you take that?
Yeah. Oh man. No. I mean, BYU looks like the team to beat right now. No question about it. They're playing at a very, very high level. And but you know what? I don't mind if Utah has a little chip on their shoulder this year. I don't mind if Mekhi Bernard has a little chip on his shoulder. I think that's how this Utah team needs to approach the rest of the season. It's the same. I mean, deja vu all over again. Utah is now circling the wagons. Everybody doubts us. I mean, that's when they find themselves at their best.
True.
Like that. That is a speech that Coach Whittingham has right at the top of his list. Like, okay, what is the motivation? Hey, look, we can pull out this circle the wagons again. Like that's the one that's his go-to. So I don't mind Utah being in this situation at all. It seems to work out well for the Utes, but now it's time to perform. Like, okay, Isaac Wilson, true freshman, like, okay, we understand all of that, but now you have a chance to mature, grow up, figure out this game at this level. And I think he's demonstrated at various times the ability to do that. Mekhi Bernard has stepped up, and now maybe with a little, giving him a little bit more opportunity, putting a little bit more on his shoulders, which he's willing to take, that's a guy with a chip on his shoulder. That's going to work out well for Utah. Tightening up a defense that's been like really, really, really good at times, and then just one or two lapses and enormous plays, overcoming that, scoring in the red zone. It's like we've identified all of the issues, and all of those issues seem to be very correctable for this football team.
In Utah's 3 conference games, 8 turnovers, only 4 takeaways, -4.
In their 3 conference games, they're -4.
Right.
So in the last 2 games, I can't remember what
2-1, 2-1, and 3-1 is how they lost the turnovers battles in those games.
Gotcha. Okay, so. But that's the thing. I mean, turnovers, there's the other issue. Like, turnovers have always been Coach Whittingham's thing. Like, you have to win the turnover margin. And for the year, going into this game, Utah was a -0.2 average. And so now they're going to be even worse than that after this last effort. And that has to flip around. So Utah has to find themselves on the plus side of the turnover margin week by week to give themselves a real shot at winning games.
Frank, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you again next week for another segment of As the Quarterback Turns.
Sounds great. You got it. All right, guys.
All right, thanks,
Have
Frank.
a great week.
Here's Frank Dolce. A reminder to join Hans and Scotty at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown Thursday from 1 to 3 for the Ute preview show. 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Think Nissan, think Tim Daly Southtown. When we come back, we're talking with Ryan Smith. PK and I with him coming up next. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Listen to The Zone every week throughout the Utah Hockey Club season for your chance to win tickets. Listen on Friday, October 18th during JJ and Alex to Win. Tune in at 4 o'clock to the interview with Utah Hockey Club head coach Andre Bear-Tourigny. Listen for the keyword Bruins, then be caller number 12 to win. One lucky listener wins a pair of tickets to the Utah Hockey Club versus the Boston Bruins at Delta Center on October 19th. Listen on Friday for your chance to win on The Zone, your radio home of the Utah Hockey Club. And the owner of the Utah Hockey Club, also the Utah Jazz, Ryan Smith, calling in earlier this week. Now, this was on Monday. They were 3-0. They subsequently lost to the Islanders. To the Devils in New Jersey and dropped to 3-1. Obviously, Ryan Smith didn't know that when we talked, but here is Ryan Smith with PK and I on The Zone.
Ryan, good morning.
What's up, guys?
I said you could call any time. You took me literally. I love that.
I just do what I'm told. I wake up. I'm like they just put stuff in my pack and tell me where to go these days. But you guys doing all right? What a weekend.
Yes, we were in St. George. We were at the golf tournament all weekend, and but we were keeping up with the football at the same time. I mean, because you've been around the golf course, you're familiar with the Oasis with the 3 TVs?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
The BYU game was on in the media center, and it was on at Oasis, so we were able to track it.
Yeah, the course looked great. I mean, the pictures were epic.
Yeah.
I think the viewing and the fan stuff. Look, it takes a couple of years to build that out.
Right.
So you're never going to get it right on the first one. I mean, the Phoenix Open didn't just walk in on day one and end up creating that hospitality. So
right.
It looked like it was successful though at all levels.
Yeah, I've been down here for almost 6 days. Still down here. We'll go home today. And, I've gotten to know Patrick Manning a little bit over the last couple of years. And, boy, that guy, I see a lot of you and him in terms of his desire to really shoot for the moon on that. I'm wondering what is your interaction with him has been since he's been in town, and what do you think of the possibilities? Because there are some similarities in between what you're trying to do and what he's trying to do over in his medium.
Well, yeah, Southern Utah is kind of this spot that, could definitely use a little bit of activation. It's got it in pieces, but this was definitely a moment for Southern Utah. I haven't had a chance to play Black Desert yet. I've been down there. I've been through it. But my dad's been down there a bunch, and a lot of people I know have, and they love it. They absolutely love it. So they've been a great sponsor of the Jazz and activating, obviously, up here. And then that's what it takes. I mean, it takes someone with a vision to really go and kind of do the hard stuff and be crazy enough in a way to believe that you can grab a PGA Tour event and put it in St. George. Because that wasn't on many people's business or bingo card, right?
Not at all. Right.
But he's got way bigger plans than that. I mean, I just view this as, when we look back, this will be either, quote-unquote, the worst or the second worst tournament that they have down here over the next decade. That if you rank them all, this will be 9 or 10 after 10 years. Maybe they'll have a year that, there's horrible weather and stuff goes wrong or whatever. But it seems like the arrow is up. He's got goals so big, I hate to speak of them aloud because I'll sound like a crazy person.
No, we've seen that. I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, we watch Elon Musk this week roll out robo vans, walking robots, and launching the largest Rocket ever made in 1 week. And it's like, what did you get done this week? Right. So I think it's good. I mean, I was fortunate to have a lunch with PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan 2 weeks ago at the Dunhill. And look, the tour needs this. They need it as well. And so I think that people stepping up and leading out is only good news for where the PGA Tour is at right now.
With all that's going on in your life, and now you own 2 professional sports teams, and obviously you're a golf fan, and I'm sure BYU football fan, Utah football fan, and all that, how do you allocate time to do what you do?
I think I started off that way. I just kind of wake up and go. Look, I mean, you're always on. That's the way tech was. It's 24/7. Balance is not a steady state. I mean, you kind of need to look at it over like a 3-month period and say, hey, because every week something's kind of taking priority one. In the summertime, it's now turned into, you've got summer league. That's priority number one. You've got the NBA draft. You've got camp. Obviously with hockey, we've been kicking everything off. And then, a lot of times, I mean, I have daughters who dance. I got kids who play hoops. Something's always in priority one. And if you're looking at on a week-by-week basis, it's pretty unbalanced. If you're looking at over a 3-month period, you've got to make sure that every part of your life kind of gets up there. With hockey coming on board, I mean, I'll be honest, it was crazy Saturday sitting here watching the Jazz game on television with us playing in Madison Square Garden on my iPad. And we're in overtime here, and Keller nets a goal in overtime to win it, and then the Jazz are coming down the stretch. That's a new feeling. I don't think we've all gone through that before, but it's cool. It's super cool to have that. And then, I was able to pop by the BYU game for a little bit, and watching them win. I mean, it was a pretty good day.
Yep.
Bill Armstrong has done TV and radio interviews with multiple outlets, and whether he's talking to one of us or he's talking to somebody else, he's been very consistent in downplaying the playoff expectations. And they started 3-0 with 2 wins in New York, and we'll see if they can get it to 4-0 here. The team is wrecking his downplaying of expectations here.
I don't know. The season's
early.
Long. The season's long. I mean, never too high, never too low. I think the guys are handling it well. But are the guys playing for a little bit more? Are they fueled up by what the Utah fan base has given them? Are you kidding me? Absolutely. They're feeling it. I mean, it's something that they felt from the time we showed up. They feel in a way, and I don't want to speak for them, but I've talked to enough of them. They feel like they're in the NHL. And they feel like they've got this group that they're playing for, and the story. I mean, it's a Mighty Ducks type story. Like it's so easy to cheer for this team, because of them being in that moment when Clayton Keller saying, "Hey, opening night at Madison Square Garden wasn't as loud as Delta Center." That's pretty sweet.
He did say that, yeah, for sure. One of the things I took from Jazz Media Day, obviously, was the emphasis on youth. And when you have so many guys who are as young as they are, literally half the roster under 23, it seems like you have no choice but to go in that direction. And listening to the Jay-Z and Danny Ainge, that's exactly what they're saying. Even Will Hardy was saying it too. Is that something that when that decision is made, and we'll see how it plays out over the course of 82 starting here next week, with that in mind, is that like a committee makes that decision? How does that decision come about?
We made that decision when we traded Donovan and Rudy and got those picks. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that it just takes time. I mean, you think about 6 players that are 20 and under. I happened to be up there a little bit over the weekend and seeing Taylor Hendricks, who's put on 20 pounds. You don't realize that, there's, 4 guys on BYU's roster that are older than all of them. and And then you also, I think we short like the jump that comes up. You know, we're watching Walker and how Walker's played already, and you're saying, okay, is this, you know, we're hoping that the work that he's putting in, this becomes the new with rebounding and everything else. And then, you know, you saw Cody shoot it a little bit over the weekend, and Keontae taking a step, and Taylor and Bryce. And I mean, no one's talking about the development of Johnny Juzang, but I mean, that's a phenomenal story. And so, you know, it's something that we have been talking about, but it's also the reality of the NBA. We have to develop our guys, and we've got to grow our talent. We just have to. I mean, I think if you look at what free agency looked like this year, it was pretty underwhelming across the board, you know, even with teams with cap space. Like, it's just the way the contracts work. And I'll give you an example. I mean, we signed Dylan Gunther. That was the first item of business. We signed Dylan Gunther for, I mean, he'll be with us the next 9 years as a 21-year-old. Those are the old John and Carl days. Like, yeah. We're 4 years max in the NBA. And so, and then the way the contracts are is people are definitely loading up and holding on. And so I think we feel like this will be and is a competitive advantage. And then I think if you look out, there's 3 more draft picks coming in, you know, hopefully this year, and then a couple swaps next year, and 4 more first-round picks in 27. You know, and I think we're in a really, really good spot with our youth and the ages and the time. And I know the rest of the NBA believes that. They truly do. And, you know, I think it's Will and Danny and Jay-Z's job to go figure out how to put this puzzle together and really put all of these young guys in a position and a spot on the floor to succeed, and work with them, because there's going to be nights where we're all sitting there going, holy cow, this is so much fun, and nights where it's like, all right, we're young. You know, that's part of it.
I don't get to interview the governor very often, but Spencer Cox was at the golf tournament, and I did get to talk to him about sports for a few minutes. And I asked him a question, and he took it and ran with it. In the middle of his answer, he said he read a story in Golf Digest that I hadn't seen. And he read that it was Utah's having a sports moment. And the interview was about the impact that the economic impact of sports on tourism and on the state of Utah. And he says they're having a sports moment, or Utah's having a sports moment. It pointed out the Olympics. It pointed out the NHL's debut with the Utah Hockey Club. It pointed out the PGA Tour stop. And then the governor said, and baseball is coming. And I said, is that a statement of fact, or is that a probability? And he kind of laughed a little bit, and he said, it's a probability, but it's as high a probability as it can be without a statement of fact. He's really thinking baseball is coming. So I guess 2-part question for you. Do you feel like baseball is coming, and do you feel like there are enough companies here that can spend enough money to support baseball, basketball, hockey, the PGA Tour, Real Salt Lake, BYU, Utah, and whatever else we don't know about that's around the corner?
Yeah, so I'll take the second part first. Is like, on the companies, we're gonna find out. Like, we're gonna find out right now, with hockey and the Jazz and how that works, because those are about as symbiotic and collaborative and one ownership group to really drive it together. And, you know, we're going to see how we do. So I think that answer is going to answer itself in short order here and over the next couple of years. As far as expansion in sports, expansion's super hard because, you know, I mean, there's enough rumors coming out on the NBA as well, and there was on NHL. The key with expansion is we just have to be ready, because, you know, we thought we were going and getting an expansion team with NHL, and that's what we were signing up for in a 3 or 4 year option. And maybe that would come in, and then we get a phone call saying, hey, how about this option now? And so I don't think anyone knows the future specifically on how those expansion moves will work, where they will go. The key is you just have to be ready. And so I think that's what Utah's going to do. It's what we did. And we were in a position where when the commissioner called and just straight up said, can you close? Can you do this? Can you pay for this? Can you set it up? Can you find a place to play? You just got to be able to say yes. And so I would never bet against Utah. That's the one thing I would say. And so how baseball shapes out, or, when the next NHL expansion even comes along, I don't think that's been said out loud. And I definitely know that NBA has been talked about for a long time. And I think if you would have looked a while ago, you would have thought it would already be here. And, I'm not going to get into too much detail there, but the key is getting ready for expansion. So when it does come, you're at the top of the list.
When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.